Is it from Sierra? Are you sure? Don't know what you lot are smiling for. The last person needs any more chocolate, bro, is you, yeah? You know what I mean? Look, can you hear who's laughing? He's giving it the big one. Everybody gives it the big one. Yalla, come on, Shaz. Oh, sugar. Oh, astaghfirullah. I was going to thinking, you know, at least they haven't seen it on the camera. طيب بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So you've obviously seen the reason for the big smiles. Bismillah, mashallah. Allahu Akbar. Huh? We're going to find out. I still haven't found any. Huh? What? Huh? Throw it. Listen. Did I see Sierra? How you doing, Sierra? Yeah, Sierra. So, Sierra has brought this. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless and reward her. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. For this gift to me. And listen, if we're going to do the whole, giving out kind of thing, then you have to do it according to the giving out rules. Yes? The giving out rules is that each stick is by half. Yeah? So, 1 bar between 4 people. For the sisters, according to the Quranic system, half of that. Yes? So, 1 bar between 4. So, wait. One thing. What's the bar called? Stick. 1 stick between 4. So, 1 bar between 8. We don't mess around with the Quran, because it's a deen, isn't it? You know what I'm saying? And to be honest, I like this position. As you know, everything in this dars is going to be coloured or coloured is such a politically incorrect word, man. You know that. Every time I say it now, like I'm going to die. Coloured. Everything now is everything in this dars is going to be super affected, of course, by the last 3-4 days. Yeah, 3-4 days of complete madness. Yeah, and we were living in the clouds for the last 3-4 days. Because of course, Sheikh Abdul Rashid Ibn Sheikh Ali Sufi was with us for the last this week, and it's been an unbelievable time. Anyone who's been in Chile, of course, has been, mashallah, living the life. But alhamdulillah, I got so much to speak about, and the reason that you see, that's the difference between you, ungrateful Pakis, and Auntie Shakila. You see, a woman muhtarama, person who's looking for the best. She doesn't have nothing. You see, when you have age and experience on your side, this is the kind of things. Enjoy it, Sheikh, she says. Enjoy it. She's not thinking about herself. Am I going to get the chocolate? Or am I going to get half a bar? Or quarter of a bar? She says, enjoy it, Sheikh. فَجَزَاكُمُ اللَّهُ خَيْرٌ, Auntie Shakila. Anyway, so, and there are so many things that I want to speak about, which is very, very important for you guys, alright? Because it wasn't that a celebrity was in town. It wasn't that a reciter was in town. It was one of the most senior scholars that we have in the world who was in town, right? And the bigger that you are in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then the more that we have to be switched on at a different level. Us, Okay, and that's when you start to see the quality of the people. So what I mean by that is that I cannot, and it's important for you to understand, I cannot see myself like I see you people. Allah is going to punish me more than Allah will punish you lot. Allah will reward me more as well than He will reward you lot. I operate on that basis, and every Muslim has to operate on that basis. You cannot compare yourself to other people. I wrote something about this on Facebook earlier on. Mediocrity and is a word which kind of is scary because it feels like very negative, but it's become normal. So that's the problem. Like if I said it's unacceptable for a Muslim to live a life of mediocrity, if I had written it's unacceptable for Muslims to live a life of normality, people would be saying, well, what do you expect us to do? And that's our own levels, and so on and so forth. Normality is mediocrity. We have to understand that normality, a base level of practice, is the actual definition of mediocrity. And the Muslim can't live like that, because the Prophet ﷺ said that when you do something, and he made this generic, then make sure you do it properly. And that's the concept of itqan, of perfecting, of giving full effort, of making sure that whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you of ability, that you account for it. Because if you don't use that ability, then Allah will then make sure that all of that which you didn't use, you'll be accounted for. And so when you say to yourself, I can't wake up, or I can't read this, or I can't pray, or I can't memorize this, the problem is that you're saying that to the one who knows exactly what you can do. And if you truly can't, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you a green card, and it's great job and job done, because you are disabled, you are ignorant, you are new Muslim, because Allah will know. And if you're not any of these people, then you're in a real bad situation. So obviously, if I've been practicing Islam twice as long as you guys, or I've been memorizing or I've learned, then I'm going to be held more accountable than you lot, right? And every Muslim must not be looking at others and feeling comfortable. And the great thing about the presence of the scholars is that they remind you of this principle, right? You always look to people that remind you of Allah. And that by definition means they make you think higher, they make you think harder, they make you think bigger, they make you think about the really important things. And as a continuation from that, you will see people notice different things as well. SubhanAllah, Shaykh said to me, he said to me, obviously our discussions are different. It's very difficult. SubhanAllah, I saw so many things I recognized in what happens with myself even when I travel. When you're forced to sit with people and just entertain their mediocrity. I felt the pain for him, okay? And when he's sitting with Shaykh Abdul Ghaffar, for example, he's genuinely relaxed. And I'd hope to feel that he feels the same when we're sitting together. Meaning relaxed, that he can do what he wants to do. And I'll give you an example. Yeah, and in the second that he sat down, we sat down in the front row. He's been staying with me for the last 4 days. The second we sat down in the front room, okay, normal thing is you ask for a pillow or water. He said, Yalla, recite, start. And everybody's like, what? And his son was the only one who went straight bam, within I think half a second, just started reciting. He's expecting everybody to then do the partake in his regular wird, which is the regular habit of recite a verse, and the next verse, recites next verse, recites next verse, recites next verse, either from a memory or either from Mus'haf. He's not so fussed about that, which is another thing I'm going to share with you later as well. In fact, I'll share it with you now, which is that a lot of us, rightly so, because we're focusing on our youth, we focus on muraja'a. The word muraja'a means to revise, and revising, normally you repeat something a number of times, yeah? And especially when you're a child and you're memorizing something for the first time, the idea is 20 times, 30 times, 40 times, 50 times, one verse, 2 verses, you keep going, bam, 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 until it enters into long-term memory. And that's the basis for memorization across the board, right? Especially when you're younger. But one of the things that gets sacrificed, okay, which is something we need to revive, and this is why I want to mention it, is that instead of revising and memorizing, there is just recitation. I.e., it's the same principle that if you read a book 10 times, you can remember whole passages from it verbatim, right? And you can probably, if you memorize a page 10, 20 times from that same book, any book, you can probably also remember that page verbatim as well. We know that already. We shouldn't discount the other one, where you're reciting the book the majority of the time. What's more natural, folks? What is more likely to happen? What's more likely to achieve?
To work.
Yeah, to work.
I'd say the repetition.
The repetition, okay? Reading the book a number of times. Not what's most likely. No, I don't mean in terms of I don't mean in terms of memorization. I mean in terms of the motivation of a person. The motivation of a person. Why doesn't everybody memorize Quran? Because it is the most boring thing on the planet, right? The idea is that you sit in front of a wall or in silence, and you recite the same thing again and again and again and again. And if you start to think about other things, then you are forced to actually repeat it more times because it's not actually going in, because you're thinking about something else, aren't you? Obviously, you've got to have it completely clear so that it settles. That's an incredibly boring process. And the reason why you always focus on the children is because they don't have it. I mean, those who have done Protect This House, you remember that from the things that I mentioned from teaching children the Quran, or what the scholars mention, is that don't bring the issues of the dunya towards children. Don't let them see, for example, domestic arguments, for example. Don't let them have to think about the issues of the bills and blah, blah, blah. Don't let them get emotionally overwhelmed by things at home. Because the heart and the mind only has so much space, right? And the reason that we focus on children is because they're open, they're fresh, and you can just ram the data in. But if you've got stuff going on, likewise, if you're thinking that the only way that I can do this is to, the concept of instant gratification. The idea that if you do this, we'll give you that. The problem is that what you give as the gratification, the reward, what you give, is always going to be more amazing than what they're doing, right? So if you say, for example, that for every page you memorize, I'm going to allow you to watch a film or to have a game or whatever, whatnot. There's there's absolutely zero comparison between them, right? I don't want the kids to hate on me, but it'll be basically a page for like 5 pence. It's probably about what it should be. You know what I mean? You're not getting the whole world. It's not distracting you from what's going on. If you start to set a standard where you're giving anything more than 5 or 10 pence or equivalent to a page, what are you gonna? If you start giving things, what do you do when you give a juz or a hizb or a surah or the whole Quran? You're gonna be broke by the end of the year, right? So what I mean is, and especially when it's so full of fantasy, action, films, whatever, the mind then becomes so focused on the reward and the dunya that it's not then able to focus on what it needs to be. My point is that it's only easy to do the repetition model of an ayah 20 times, 30 times, this boring way of memorization, which is a must. All of us got to do it. All of us have to do it. Okay? And the more, of course, that you try to understand the verse, can you imagine not understanding the verse? Then it's a purely boring exercise, isn't it? Yeah? Which is the majority at the end of the day, right? They don't know what's going on, which is why you've got to reward kids. For adults, there's no reward. They've just got to try and motivate themselves, and the best way you can motivate them is to say that this verse means this. So when you're memorizing it, when you're repeating it, just keep thinking about the meaning. And that's very difficult as well, all right? And the reason I mention all this is not to try and push you away from that, because it's got to happen. But I want to promote the alternative as well, which is the actual sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and the companions, which is to constantly be reciting the Quran. So the more that you become used to the Quran, okay, because you've done it, you've finished it every 10 days. And the Shaykh said here that yesterday, I believe it was, when you divide the people into 3 groups, those that have memorized it, those that are trying to or working with it, and those that don't have a good relationship with it, regardless of where you are, certainly the first 2 categories, they must be finishing the Quran every 10 days. Every 10 days, folks. All right? Think about that. He actually said a week, then to 10 days. Now, I did an interview of the Sheikh, a detailed one. You'll enjoy that, and some of you obviously know about that because you put the questions forward. The person who put the question forward, if he was a superhero, which one would he be? Yeah, he answered that as well. It's a sick interview, by the way. Okay, it's funny as well, and we'll put that out, in a couple of weeks' time. Shazad, when Shazad pulls his finger out, yeah. So I just want to say that Shazad smashed it last 4 days. By the way, that guy slept like 3 hours, mashallah, tabarakallah. It's been a tough time in terms of sleep. I also want to say this. I can't remember a more intense period of time in the last 10-20 years being with a scholar, and I sit with a lot of scholars and whatever. I can't remember. Very, very, very tough. But I can tell you, I was telling the kids that if I only slept maybe 9-10 hours across these 3-4 days, I can tell you that the Shaykh slept half of that. That's a fact. Because I only slept that much because I was with him. Then I'd go straight to sleep, and I know that he didn't. Because I know what was going on, what he had to do, what he didn't have to do, whatever. So he's got some next level battery, subhanAllah. I don't know what's happening there, right? Okay. But he said, what was the point I was making? Recitation of the Quran. I said to him, Shaykh, it's easy for you to say, that you can recite 3 juz'a in a day. He goes, I don't do 3 juz'a in a day. He goes, I do 10 juz'a in a day. I'm not telling you that you should be doing what I'm doing. I'm telling you what you need to do. What you need to do, not me, he goes. He goes, on a good day. To be honest, I don't think we'll waste this lesson if I just tell you some of the lessons that I learned this week. Genuinely. I don't want to stop, because the reason why I don't want to stop is because I know I'll forget. So I am going to actually take a liberty, okay, and tell you a few things. Alright? And to be honest, because this is not what you use in normal lecture material, this is important for students of knowledge to understand. Ulu al-himma. Ulu al-himma means that you raise your... Jazakallah khair. MashaAllah. Because I'm very generous, I'm going to share these sweets with you. Okay? You can go to as much as you want. Okay? You can have these... Oh no, you know what? This is watermelon flavor. You know what? You can have this... You know what? When you get watermelon, that's always a buzz. Anyway, stop distracting me. Right. Do you know how this all started, by the way? What do you think got me started in that direction? Someone came to me, said, I think it was someone here in the Musalla yesterday said, this week's dars is going to be all about this week, isn't it? I said, shut up, man. What a hater that person is. Anyway, I wasn't going to do it. I've got all my notes ready to start. But you know why I went this way? Did anyone see what happened when I said, that reminds me? It's this box. And not the contents, but that I did this. I said, that's really nice, yeah? As soon as I did this, the Shaykh came to my mind. Because I noticed how a person operates on 2 hours a day. It's a person who looks after the little things, or gets the little things looked after. I have not seen a person... So I said to you, the first thing that he said is, let's get started recitation. Yeah? So you're thinking that's a religion on a whole different level. Yeah? You're thinking taqwa on a whole different level. Within 2 or 3 minutes, he made indications to the people to make sure that he has something for his left foot, something for his right foot, and he asked for 2 cushions, and literally he's sitting like on a throne. Normal seat, but he's turned it into a throne. He asked for 2 cushions, and I noticed that the point of the cushion was that it wasn't like this. Right? I don't know if you can see that, the difference of just what happened. I just turned the box on the thingy. He asked for a different one, and he put it up like that, and there's a massive difference. There's a massive difference. Now, it's about comfort, but the difference is, when you use comfort, what is it that you use it for? And when he uses comfort, what does he use it for? Do you get what I'm trying to say? Right? And that's the lesson that we want to take. I noticed, we did the interview in my front room. No exaggeration. And obviously very stressful for all of us. Shout out at him, shout out at Yahya, for the whole, very stressful. About 5-6 lights and 10 cameras and recording machines, and we set up all the background. Oh, it was a nightmare. Sheikh comes and sits down, goes, I don't like this position. Now, here's the thing. You are either there first time, second time, and you're saying, what the hell is this flipping diva behavior? Yep. Or you're like me, and without hesitation I said, lads, quickly up everything and let's change the whole room round. Like we were moving. Okay? For the next half an hour, 20 minutes, we moved the whole flipping room. Right? And the cameras, and the setup, and everything. You know why? Because I knew 100% that the result is going to benefit. The consequence is going to be excellent. And you know why? Purely because of the angle of his neck and the position of his knee. So, because in an interview, you've got to be facing one another, right? And in a normal studio, you might be on an armchair and an armchair. I don't have 2 separate armchairs. I have a sofa situation, yeah? So, it's a big, wide, flat sofa. Jazakumullah khair, Cam. Yeah? Cam is one who hooked it up, yeah? So, and it's a big flat kind of situation. So if you're in a 3-man sofa, the way to do it is that you turn to the other person. Now, if you are sitting on a sofa, you know how you're sitting on a sofa, and your feet are going to be down. If you're now going to turn that way, what you're going to have to do with your legs, the left one stays down, yeah? And then you'd fold the other one, your knee, and you'd turn, right? 90 degrees. So you'd turn. So I'd be like that. This would be the dangling leg, and your knees underneath you. Uncomfortable, like cross leg, and he would do the same. 2 things. He did that when he sat down. He turned, he sat his leg, He goes, that's not going to work. Then he goes, also, I have to look at you like this. He goes, that my neck can't handle that. Straight out. And the truth is that you'd never ever accept that from anyone other than a scholar. Right? Because this is a person who spends day and night reading. Day and night. Yani of course he's a master of hifz, but he's always reading. You know, the little things matter. You know, I mean, we talk about it in sport. The little 1%, they matter. You know, the Man Cities of this world, the conditioning coaches of this world, the diet coaches of this world, they change tiny things and they get an extra 1% performance. That 1% performance is championship winning performance, right? These things is so important for us to understand, that when it comes to the quality of glasses, the investment into the quality of a screen, the ability of to be able to find the right angle. I saw so much. I've been observing this Sheikh, I'm honestly, every single movement. And I've met Sheikh many times, but not been able to have this kind of length of time with him, like 24 hours minus 1 or 2 in a day. And all of his movements and everything geared towards maximizing the output. Maximizing the output either for an audience or for himself. Whether lifting a chair, reducing a chair, this, that. And the reason I want to keep focusing on this is that we would do that for comfort, for a dunyai reason. Whereas he does it so that he can increase his ibadah, his efficiency, his whatever. And I noticed when we moved everything around, he was so comfortable in the thingy. He was so. You know what time we started this interview? 11:35 at night time. You know what time he'd been awake since? At 6 o'clock in the morning. And I'm not saying that he's dosing all the way. That 17 hours that he's been awake was all reciting and talking and giving lecture and this and that and whoa. And he starts at 11:30 in the evening. He is tired. I can see he's tired. I go, this is not going to look good on the camera. And the Sheikh goes, how long is it going to be? I said, well, Sheikh, maybe an hour. He goes, an hour. An hour. And I said to him, Sheikh, yani, depending. I go, I think that you yourself will want it to continue. I won't be the one who will stop it. Okay? You be the one who wants to stop it. Okay? And it turned out exactly the same. It went on, and then an indication was made that, an hour's reached. He goes, no, carry on. He was enjoying it. He was relaxed. Okay? I could see that the angle that he had taken, and I don't know, maybe the camera will pick it up. He's got this one thingy here, he's got the other one there. He's not put his knee under, and he is now able to do what he wants to do. Now, my point in this is that that's like a cheap example. If I said to you that the same, like I said, you might look at that and that's a diva behavior. If I said to you the same person was given an invitation to go to New Zealand recently, because we were talking about immigration and all the issues that we commonly share, and you get on a flight, 17-hour flight from Doha, okay, to New Zealand, and you get there and they refuse you entry, and they put you on the flight back. Yep. He says, Alhamdulillah. He goes that the great thing is that I can add to. Normally, I always try to do a khatam in the air. I did one entire khatam in the air. I did 9 juz on the way here to New Zealand, and I did the remaining 21 on the way back. He was, I'm that we'll get those dogs, we'll just deal with them. I don't know people, I know names, I know people, blah blah blah. Sheikh said, Alhamdulillah, I got one done in the air, I found it very relaxing and enjoyable, this, that, etc. The Sheikh was hoping to get an upgrade today, and he wanted to go early, and I was so upset, very angry. In actual fact, arguments broke out between some of the people who were trying to get involved, and I wanted him to make sure that, because the Qatar Manchester to Doha route is a very busy one, and if you don't get it beforehand, then there's just not enough available seats, and so we were late for the upgrade. And anyway, I knew someone this, that, whatever, whatnot. Alhamdulillah, we got the upgrade. All right. I cannot imagine ever, and I wish nobody ever allows people like that to travel in anything other than first class and business class and whatever class, private jets, helicopters, bloody everything. These are people who will make the haqq of those those things. You get what I'm trying to say? Now, the truth is that we all have to understand these realities and stories and up our game accordingly. up our game according, because we will be held accountable. And he is not at the desk when we're doing the upgrade. They asked for his number, for his phone number. Now he's writing it in the form, and it just came to my mind because we did a lot of silly questions yesterday in the interview, fun questions. And I said to him, Sheikh, listen, are there any numbers in your phone book that you don't know by heart? Yeah. And so, because this guy obviously he's memorized everything. He goes, what? He goes, there's not a single number in this phone book that I know by heart. Not a single one. He goes, what do you think the phone book's for? That really made me laugh, that, because that is a person who knows what to use. That was a question I put to him. Okay? Today, to be honest, you're not considered an all-rounder if you don't know what the other side is saying and thinking and what the theories are that they're putting forward. So I put to him the question, Sheikh, who is it from the West or from the non-Muslims that you would consider someone that has impacted upon you, inspired you, or someone that you look up to? He sat there. I can't think of a single person, he said. I can't think of a single person. Honestly, that was a straight answer. He's trying very hard. I said, please, give us one answer at least to make the interview look like something that we can put out. Yeah? He goes, I couldn't give you a single name. There's not a single person from the non-Muslims that I care about or has inspired me or someone I'm impressed with or whatever. Now that's not to say that they're all donkeys, but the truth is that they really genuinely don't matter to him. They don't benefit him or his time or anything. So I just want to say there's so much that we can talk about, but it's very, very important for us to up our game, to not remain in. When you come in contact with that, it's not just about, it was really nice recitation, I enjoyed my salah, right? There is a level of depression in this masjid right now because this masjid has enjoyed the greatest reciter in the world, just illuminate this masjid morning and evening for the last 3 days. The recitation that we heard, the qira'at that he came with, the surahs that he chose, the reminders that he did. But our deen is not about characters like that. It's not based upon that. And that's what I want to really kind of emphasize. We're incredibly fortunate. Normal masajid is going to be left with some Paki Imam, who can't recite at all. Yeah, at least we got left with Abdul Ghaffar, who's the best of them in my eyes anyway, right? But imagine that this would happen in another masjid, and you've got Johnny Patel left with you, right? And Qari Sahib Fulan, you're stuck with a guy who can't recite at all khalis, right? You'd be depressed. You'd be bloody depressed. You'd jump out the window, right? So at least, your masjid, another masjid, definitely. Or at least we've got someone who's a specialist, right? But my point is that, but we've got to assume that he wasn't. Let's imagine that we didn't have a specialist here. We have to create that in ourselves. We have to be the ones that see someone reciting and realize, what, I can achieve this as well. We can all achieve it. We can all develop a relationship with the Quran and its religion by actually embracing it in a wholesome, holistic, and focused way, recognizing why we're doing this. If you're finding it difficult to connect spiritually, then that's when you use the kind of the darker side, concept of punishment, concept of seriousness, accountability, whatever. You only bring that side in if it's necessary. What if you really enjoy the sound? What if you really enjoy the intellectual challenge? What if you're thinking about it and you find it so interesting? So
I remember the example he gave. He goes, Khalaf and Hamza.
Yeah.
He was abroad. This was last time we met him, and he was reciting. I think someone corrected something, and Khalaf and Hamza. And he goes, "Where did you?" He goes, "I listened to your CDs and learned it."
And corrected him accordingly. The Sheikh obviously is recording a lot of different things, and what it was saying is that I listen to it now and I can see mistakes. And he is the world's leading authority. Okay, and I listened to some of that which I've copied already, and I can see some mistakes. Even here, Sheikh Abdul Ghaffar picked up on it is a mistake. If you're reciting in another qira'ah and then you don't come with the imala, for example, in the right place, then according to that qira'ah, that recitation, you missed it out. Not something which invalidates the prayer, but he missed it. And Shazad, as you just heard, someone corrected him because of how used they've got to listening to that surah recited with that recitation on YouTube.
No, on his
On
recording.
here,
From his
on whilst he did it. Okay, so anyway, there's so much. There's so much. I don't know, man. There's so much. There's a few things here that came into my mind as well that even in the text. So we'll just take a little bit because I'm not going to extend the lesson, but he also reminded me. It wasn't actually him. It was Shaykh Abdul Ghaffar reminded me of a hadith which is maybe my top 3 hadith. All right, my top 3 favorite hadith. And Abdul Ghaffar reminded me of it because we were talking about something and we enjoyed that moment and I laughed at it. And then I realized what a crime that I didn't expose you guys to this hadith, actually considering that we are in the only place we would study this hadith. And this is the hadith, because I think last week we finished all of the variations of what dua you can use, yeah? And we're about to now say, then he turns to his right and says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So before that, I want to remind you of this hadith, which is just the best. The Prophet a man was there, clearly a Bedouin, clearly some basic guy, right? And the Prophet ﷺ went up to him in the masjid and he goes, what do you say in your prayer? ما تقول في الصلاة? What do you say in your prayer? So the man said, التشهد ثم أسأل الله الجنة وأعوذ به من النار. I do the tashahhud, التحيات لله, اللهم صل على محمد, okay? And then I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for al-Jannah and I seek refuge with him from the fire. Okay? أما والله ما أحسن دندنتك. يعني ولا دندنة معاذ. As for all this يعني, that you do and what Mu'adh does, I ain't about that behavior. I can't do that. Can you imagine? Can you imagine someone saying that to the Prophet ﷺ? They're making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and someone says that you do. Dandana. I can't do dandana. That's what dandana comes from, by the way. It's, there are certain words in the Arabic language which are actually reflecting the non-meaning of the actual word. Like in the hadith, this is actually a word, or ha, or dandana. Yani, it's mumbling. I can't work out what you guys are making it so long and so difficult. Because Mu'adh, he has that reputation, unfortunately, that he goes hard. So he would pray with the Prophet ﷺ Salatul Isha, and then he would go back to his people. And to me, Allah knows best. This is from my own pocket. From what I understand from this hadith is that this is from Mu'adh's people in his area. And I get from this hadith that the Prophet ﷺ is doing a little visit. And he's gone to the Bedouin kind of outskirts. And he's come to their village, to the really simple people, to the really basic new folks. Don't forget, of course, that the Prophet ﷺ sent Mu'adh to Yemen. He is the one who sends him to go and teach new kind of folks. So he's going to be used to all this kind of, basic questions. So he's obviously sent him to a masjid in which, when Mu'adh went and led the prayer, and it became a bit long, the people literally said, enough of this behavior, and they walked off. Yeah, they said, this is too much, yani. Okay? To the extent that one of them went and said to the Prophet ﷺ, do you realize, yani, what your guy is doing with us? We're come knackered, this, that, whatever, and, basically like what Abu Dharr, yani, complains about every night, yeah? Your imam is making the salah so long, this, that, whatever. He comes like he's been half dead like that. So, and so the Prophet ﷺ, obviously, as you know, he became angry. And he got Mu'adh and he said to him, Afatan anta ya Mu'adh? Yani, you're putting the people to trial? Yani, this is a fitna that you're causing. You're going to push them away from the deen. Okay? And he said, Iqra' bishamsi wa duhaha. Because this is the problem. You see, these Pakistanis, they love this hadith. This is their favorite hadith, this one. Recite washamsi wa duhaha with them, yani, keep it short, yani, half a page. What's all this, yani, I love the Quran and this, that, whatever. So the point from this is that these people, they want a very simple, basic form of the religion, right? So give them a very basic form of their religion. Those people who are not on that basic level have to be treated very, very differently. So when he now comes to a guy and says that, what is it that you say, yani in the prayer, and he goes, Wallahi, yani this is all I say. I ask Allah for Jannah, and I seek protection from the fire. As for the rest of it, don't give me that. You know what the Prophet ﷺ said? Hawla hanu dandin. He goes, yeah, you know that kind of mumbling, yeah, something like that, that's alright. Yeah, that's okay. That mumbling kind of stuff, that's the kind of dandana that we do. You're alright, you're fine. He actually literally gave this guy the green light. He goes, you just carry on, you're fine like that. He didn't say, yani what? Dandana? Making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in salah. He didn't say, it's just actually blah blah. That's the definition of dandana in the modern way. I don't like to insist that, I don't like to say that in public because that's a big word. But blah blah is what he said, the thingy. So anyway, this hadith, why is it important that we need to say it right now? It's because it is the dua before taslim. Right? And as I said to you before, people asked, yani, what is the absolute obligation? Now, as a learning point to close the chapter, we need to know that we say At-Tahiyatu Lillah, we've covered that in detail. We say Allahumma salli ala Muhammad Durood Sharif Salawat Ibrahimiyya, we've covered that in detail. And then you should make a dua. But what if you don't? Is the prayer still correct? And the scholars, yani, as I said, they differed over that because the Prophet ﷺ said, فَلْيَسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ مِنْ عَذَابِ الْقَبْرِ وَمِنْ عَذَابِ جَهَنَّمَ وَمِنْ شَرِّ فِتْنَةِ الْمَحْيَا وَالْمَمَاتِ وَمِنْ عَذَابِ شَرِّ فِتْنَةِ الْمَسِيحِ الدَّجَّالِ. So then let him, فَلْيَسْتَعِذْ, then let him seek refuge. And let him is a phrase, yani فَلْيَسْتَعِذْ, that indicates obligation. And that's what you should build upon as a minimum. Okay? However, if a person doesn't know that, then any dua. And if a person doesn't know that, then even no dua, that prayer is valid according to the majority of scholars. According to the majority of scholars. But you should come with something. Even if that something is, Allahumma inni as'aluka al-jannah wa a'udhu bika minan nar. At least memorize that. Oh Allah, I seek from you Jannah and I seek refuge with you from the fire. Then that will be sufficient. But if you come with the Rabbana atina fid dunya, great. If you come with the Rabbi ja'alni, that's great. You come with the best, Allahumma inni zalamtu nafsi zulman kathira, the hadith that he learned, Abu Bakr, best. And if you come with Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min adhab al-qabr wa min adhab jahannam, the four, best, Sahih Muslim. Yeah? So that's yani your basic principle to build upon. Okay, folks? Allahumma hasibni hisaban yasira. I don't think we mentioned that last week. Yeah? This is one of the dua. Also, one other thing that, another dua that I mentioned, the Prophet ﷺ said that, the companion said that the Prophet ﷺ heard a man saying in his tashahhud, we did mention this, Allahumma inni as'aluka ya Allah, الأحد الصمد الذي لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد أن تغفر لي ذنوبي إنك أنت الغفور الرحيم. Very simple phrase. Very, very simple. Half of it is قل هو الله أحد. Yeah? The rest of it is Allah forgive me. The Prophet ﷺ said, قد غفر الله له. قد غفر الله له. I can't believe I didn't mention this hadith yesterday. What a beautiful hadith. This hadith is narrated by Imam Abu Dawud and Nasa'i, and it is authentic. The person who said that, a translation, oh Allah, I ask you, Ya Allah, you are the one, the unique, the self-sufficient, the one who is not begotten, the one who does not beget, the one who has no equal, that you forgive me my sins, because indeed you are the one who forgives, the most merciful. The Prophet ﷺ said, I swear he has been forgiven. I swear he has been forgiven. Ajeeb statement, subhanAllah. Small words, huge impact. We gotta, if you are a Rabbana atina fid dunya person, we already said last week, you're on a good place. Your parents taught you well. If there was going to be one dua, at least it covered all of the issues. But you can't just stop there. Do you know what I mean? You got to be every week, every month. You want to be adding an extra one, changing the game, keeping it fresh. Either coming with 5, 6 of them, or if you're in a rush, then use only one. But instead of using Rabbana, use Allahumma hasibni hisaban yasira. Oh Allah, give me an easy accounting. Be easy upon me. And you want to connect with these dua. We got to use them for our own, to our own advantage. Right, okay. So we now reached in the text, ثُمَّ يُسَلِّمُ عَنْ يَمِينِهِ السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وعن يساره كذلك. then he gives taslim or salam to his right hand side and he says Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Then he sends salam to his right, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, may the peace and mercy of Allah be upon you, and then to his left as well. You know, I think I don't think that's right, the translation. If I say and then to his left as well, what do you understand from that? The same. Who doesn't understand the same? I don't understand the same from that. If I read that, yeah, who's that? No, is that Hiba, the little fish? I thought it was an adult. Put their hands up. Right. Thank you, Hiba. Right. At least there's loyalty there. And then to his left as well. So read that, yeah? Assalamu alaikum. So then he sends salam to his right, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and then to his left as well. Does that say to you the same thing? Are you sure? So I don't need to edit it. Because in Arabic, وَعَنْ يَسَارِهِ كَذَلِكَ, I really should have added, well, yeah, but in كَذَلِكَ actually is then. Okay, and then to his, what did I write? As well. As well is the same, isn't it? Yeah, I just don't think it's as strong as the same. And the reason I remember why I didn't write same, because he didn't say وَعَنْ يَسَارِهِ مِثْلَ ذَلِكَ, which is the actual Arabic that you should say. There's a reason, by the way, that he said that. Because he wants to leave the situation open for someone who says Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, or Assalamu alaikum. He wants to leave it open to show it doesn't have to be exactly the same. However, the Hanbalis themselves, they do believe that it's got to be the same left and right. Or they do see that as a minimum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So I just want you to know that maybe that translation, just keep that in mind, yeah. And then to his left as well, referring to at least that, with the possibility of something else as well. So what we need to add something?
Translation-wise, maybe you're right, but to say send salams to his right, is that's translation, I guess.
Yeah.
But you want more to it. How do I send salam to my right?
But that's obviously in the sharh. That's never going to be in the matan, that level of detail. That's of course what we're going to talk about here. So let's go through this. This is pretty straightforward and easy. So the Shaykh, now we're on 208. Okay, on 208. So he turns to his right, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, turns to his left, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And this is a statement which normally breaks the prayer, but is part of the prayer. It's part of the prayer, and said here, it ends the prayer. Said at any other time, it becomes a problem. That's why the scholars said someone who says Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah while standing in the prayer has actually exited the prayer without even, realizing it, I guess. I mean, it depends on his intention, but he's exited. So, he goes, there are a number of issues that we need to discuss. The first one, who is he giving salam upon? Ala man yusallim. The answer is, if there are people with him, if he's praying in a congregation, or she's praying in a congregation, then the salam is upon them. If he's praying alone, then the salam is upon the malaika. The malaika that are upon the right hand side and upon the left hand side. Okay? That's the first point. Second point, or connected to that. If that's the case, and they're praying, if he's praying alone, the malaika can't return the salam. They're not required to return the salam. You're not going to hear the salam anyway, so it doesn't matter. But what about if you're in a jama'ah? If you're in a congregation, do you need to return the salam? If someone gives salam upon you, we know that it's obligatory to return the salam. Agreed? Yes? That's a basic principle. To give salam is a sunnah. You don't have to give salam to people. But to respond to it is an obligation. Cool? Now, this person, he said it in a jama'ah. We already said that when he turns to his right, he's doing it to the people. They've got to give the salam back, yes or no? Come on, quickly. Yes? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, the answer is yes. The Prophet ﷺ, in the hadith narrated by Imam Abu Dawood, أمرهم أن يردوا على الإمام ويسلم بعضهم على بعض. That he ordered them, hadith narrated by Imam Abu Dawood 1001, hadith sahih, he ordered them to give salam to one another. To give salam to one another. And when he did that, when he told them that, okay, what did they do? Anyone know what they did? Anyone know this hadith? Or know what happened as a result? They started going, Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. They started lifting their hands. The Prophet ﷺ then said, يعني على ما تومون بأيديكم كأنها أذناب خيل شمس. يعني why are you guys indicating to one another like the tails of wild horses? You know, like, a wild horse, it lifts its tail, like that kind of shape. Yep. Or flicks it kind of thing. It flicks it. So, why is everybody kind of going like that? You're still in salah. Your statements to one another is the responding. So when you are in a jama'ah and you say it when you say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, the second one is the response, if that makes sense. So your statement itself, when you turn to the left, is the response. So the answer to your question is that you do respond to one another, but the process of giving the two taslims is the response. So there doesn't need to be an extra addition. Okay, that's the next one. That's the response to that point. He says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Is it acceptable to say it without the definite clause? So Assalamu alaikum, which means, when we say Assalam, it's the peace. Yeah? And by that we mean every type of peace, the perfect peace. Is it okay to say Salamun alaikum? Like we say salams. Like we write emails, yeah? You say Assalamu alaikum. But people don't write that, they write salams, yeah? Salams is just like peace. Very simple form. It's like a minor form of the full one. Is it acceptable to say that in salah? What do you think? The Shaykh said that it's acceptable. It's okay to say Salamun alaikum, just like actually it's allowed to give greetings to that person. Salamun alaikum. Yeah? Or Salamun alaik. So peace be upon you. But the sunnah is to say Assalamu alaikum. So you stick to the sunnah. However, if you did the minor one, then that's something which is acceptable. Another issue. Is it acceptable? Assalamu alayka wa rahmatullah. Is that acceptable or not? The Shaykh says this is not acceptable. Because here you've done a material change. In his opinion, Assalamu and Salamun is not a material difference. But when you go from Assalamu alaikum to the congregation, to Assalamu alayka to the individual, or Assalamu alayki wa rahmatullah, for example, when you go to an individual direct, what do they call that? First person thing? What's it called? Pronoun, first person pronoun? What's the grammar thing if I speak to you separately? If I say Assalamu alayka, what's the difference between Assalamu alayka and Assalamu alaykum? Second person what? Active. Active voice, as opposed to Assalamu alaikum, which is what? Passive. I didn't say Assalamu alayhim or Salamun alayhim, Assalamu alaikum.
No, it's not. It's the person, isn't it? So you're talking.
Who does that grammar stuff, man? What's Assalamu alayka? What? Mukhatab. What's the difference? When you say Assalamu alaikum, that's also mukhatab. You're speaking to...
You're speaking to one person.
Yeah. So what do you call that in grammar? How do you define... What's the grammatical term to differentiate?
Second person singular and plural, isn't it?
Second person plural, second person singular? Singular. Okay. Singular. Yeah. Singular, yeah. But second person singular. Yeah. Anyway, this is something which is not acceptable in the prayer. Shaykh Uthaymeen says not acceptable in the prayer. Okay? Because he said, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man amila amalan laysa alayhi amruna fahuwa radd." Yani, a very general answer. Whoever does an action which is not from ours, then it is rejected. As I said, this amal, according to Shaykh Uthaymeen, is a material difference, a intentional change from even the objective. I have to say, I find this strange. If you're going to let the first one go, then why would you not let this one go? Anyone want to give an explanation?
Because the first one's still talking to multiple people, no?
No, as-salam and salam.
No, so you still salam alaikum, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they're both alaikum, no?
No, so now the question is it acceptable to say as-salamu alayka instead of assalamu alaikum. That's now the current thing what we're talking about.
That's the difference, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the difference.
That to a whole load of people and to one person.
Okay.
According to Shaykh Uthaymeen, there's a difference between, I'm going to quote exactly what he said. وَلِوُجُودِ الْفَرْقِ بَيْنَ الْإِفْرَادِ وَبَيْنَ الْجَمْعِ, which is an obvious statement. That he's saying there's a difference between singular and plural. So we could say, Shaykh, the difference between salam and as-salam is al-farq بين الألف لام يعني thingy, the definite article and the indefinite article.
No, but
His point is that is not a difference in the meaning though. It's still peace, full peace, whereas there's a number difference,
so it's a more kind of stark difference.
a more tangible difference. Would you agree that there's a difference? The difference between salam and as-salam is second person singular male or female. Good, there we go, that's the one. That's what I wanted to know. So anyway, the Shaykh, according to him, he doesn't like yani assalamu alayka in the salah. Okay, now I want you to the next few points are going to lead me to the next point about Shaykh Abdul Rashid as well. He then says, so he's now said that second version is not acceptable. Third, if a person says assalamu alaykum only, is this acceptable? Assalamu alaykum, assalamu alaykum. He said that there's a difference between the scholars in this, which is covered in detail in Al-Mughni, in the reference section, if you want to look at it more. He goes, some of them said it's not acceptable, and that's the position of the Hanbali madhab. So as a bare minimum in the Hanbali school, you have to say assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullah. Yet we know, of course, that there are hadith which are authentically narrated where the Prophet ﷺ said assalamu alaykum by itself, a once or maybe twice, but a very bare minimum. Okay, we know that. And that's why he says, and from the scholars are those that said that it is sufficient, and that is also one of the opinions narrated from Imam Ahmad himself. And because this has been narrated in a hadith narrated by Jabir ibn Samura radiallahu an, who said that I prayed with the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, فَكُنَّا إِذَا سَلَّمْنَا قُلْنَا بِأَيْدِينَا السلام عليكم السلام عليكم. That's because of the hadith that we just covered, the hadith of Jabir ibn Samura, not Jabir ibn Abdullah, Jabir ibn Samura. And by the way, that's important. Yeah, what I just did there. You can't say the hadith of Jabir, because Jabir, when you use singular name, is always Jabir ibn Abdullah, right? So when you have a different Jabir, then you need to bring a second name. If I say the hadith of Abdullah, then I can't be saying that about Ibn Umar. It's when you say Abdullah, the hadith of Abdullah is always Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Yeah, so it's important to add that point. Remember when you're narrating hadith. So the hadith of Jabir ibn Samura is the hadith where he said that we used to say Assalamu alaikum with our hands. So what does Shaykh Uthaymeen say here? Which is nice actually if you think about it. He goes, that's an evidence that it was sufficient to say Assalamu alaikum, because the Prophet ﷺ didn't change the Assalamu alaikum. He told them to stop waving their hands. Otherwise he would have said stop waving your hands and change. So that's their evidence. Okay, all right. And that indicates that it's a sunnah to say wa rahmatullah, but not wajib. And that's the Shaykh's opinion, by the way. That's what he personally believes. Just keep that in the bank. Yes.
Just a couple of questions.
Yep.
Even when you're within a congregation giving salam to the left and right,
Yep.
are you also giving it both to the congregation and still the angels?
So, the reason that Shaykh Uthaymeen made that statement is according to his own opinion. There's not a single hadith. I've been searching for this for a long time. Like I'm talking 20 years. There's no clear cut Quran, Sunnah evidence exactly who you're giving the salam to. And in actual fact, this also will lead to the issue of how far do you turn, right? Because there are people, for example, that if they believe that it's been given to the congregation, then they want to try and cover the congregation. Yep. So they go further. And there are hadith which indicate that because they were praying behind the Prophet ﷺ. So for example, if you say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, minimal movements, all right, you're not getting much of a cheek thing going on. But we have hadith where the Prophet they said that we saw the whiteness of the cheek of the Prophet ﷺ until we saw the whiteness of the cheek. Now, is that because his cheek was white? Well, his color was not white, yeah, but it was closer to white than anything else. So he was more white than he was brown, for example. So it maybe just means that you got a full shot of the cheek. Or is it possible? I don't know. When you strain, do you become taut? You know, like when you do that and it goes white. Do you? Yeah, nothing in the face. Yeah, this is the time Shazad's not here. Only nothing in the jaw. Yeah. Then it must be then just the full face. It must be. In actual fact, what makes more sense is that we're talking about people who are very much behind him, right? And the only way that if you're behind, are going to see the cheek of the Prophet ﷺ if it really goes for, that way. You know what I mean? So all of this is acceptable, minimal, right? And but my point is that that's all we've got to go with. So if that's all you got to go with, and not a single hadith that mentions who to, now if you are of this opinion, then there's no way you're going to be building the case that you're giving salams to everyone if you're doing this. Yeah? That's angels. And if you're building your opinion based upon this, right, and that, because of people around you, then it indicates this to people. But we know that we can't just depend upon that because people pray by themselves. So that's why it's not possible to say no to what you just said. I think what Shaykh Uthaymeen put forward is very reasonable. That the asl is that there are people around, then the salam is something which we know needs to be given and responded to, so that makes sense. And when you're alone, then to the angels. And of course, if you are giving salam to people, to everybody, then the angels are going to be included. Like, there's no way the angels are excluded. Yeah.
And just following from that, I was wondering if one of the reasons you would say Assalamu alaikum, the singular version, is because whenever you are reading salah, even by yourself, there are always multiple things on both sides to give the salam to.
Multiple angels, you mean? Not just one angel, you mean? Or you mean people that are going around or that have nothing to do with the prayer? What do you mean by multiple things? Multiple angels. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. That's an important point, by the way. Okay, just in case people believe you've only got one angel. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given an indication that we have guardian angels as well. Right? So it's not just the right and the left. And there are obviously, and the places of prayer are where the angels come anyway. So it's good to assume that the Assalamu alaikum is there for a reason. That even in the absence of a group of people, there are many angels, no doubt. Okay, so that's good. Then the Shaykh says, what about the issue of Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh? And Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. He goes, this is also an area of difference amongst the scholars. Some of them said that it's better to say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. He goes, what's well known from the madhab of Imam Ahmed, that this is not to be said. It's only Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So the madhab of Imam Ahmed, there's no wa barakatuh, and not barakatuh. And then some of the scholars, they said that in the first one you can say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And this has been narrated. Okay? This has been narrated, and that hadith narrated by Imam Abu Dawood, hadith number 997, Imam Ibn Hajar alayhi rahmatullah, he said it has a authentic chain. Isnaduhu sahih. Remember again, when the muhaddithin specify that a chain is authentic, it's because they are wanting to stay away from giving a hukm on the hadith in its meaning. You know, sometimes if you're not very confident or don't want to put impose your opinion upon what the hadith means, then there's a kind of like a get out. You kind of say the chain of the hadith is authentic. Now do what you want with it. Yep. And when they're very certain, then they kind of say, well, hadith sahih. The hadith is sahih. The text is sahih. There's obvious what the text means. But if the text is not maybe sometimes very clear, or it could be interpreted in different ways, then they kind of say, well, the chain is at least authentic, and you can now interpret the hadith as you want. Remember always to focus on that when you hear a scholar talk about the chain and the hadith, because the hadith then he means the matan is included. The fifth point, all right, is that if you say it once, is that okay? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Nothing on the right hand side, left hand side. So just one. Okay, is that acceptable? The Shaykh says this also on 211, page 211. He goes, this is also a point of difference. Another 5-10 minutes. This is also a difference of opinion amongst the scholars, and some said that it's acceptable. Why? Because of the hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha, وَكَانْ يَخْتِمُ الصَّلَاةِ بِالتَّسْلِيمِ. This hadith is narrated by Imam Muslim, hadith number 498. Aisha said that the Prophet ﷺ would finish his prayer with the taslim. Bit taslim. Bi al taslim. With the taslim. The scholars that said it's acceptable, they said that this is taslim, which means what? One. The scholars that said no, it's not acceptable to only do one. Yeah, you got to do two. How did they interpret this hadith? Exactly, that bi at taslim is the salam, meaning the salam as a concept, the salam as a principle. So that it means both of them. Does that make sense? Yeah, right. That's the definite article. So again, you can see why they that's why they differed. And this is the position of the Hanabila. They also gave some other reasons as well. This is very interesting. Okay, the Hanabila insist upon you giving two each time. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. With the reasons being, for example, number one, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that the same hadith that we just spoke about, the hadith of Jabir ibn Samurah, hadith sahih, when he said that we used to say Assalamu alaikum, Assalamu alaikum. Yeah? There's 2 times mentioned there, isn't it? Yeah? Assalamu alaikum, Assalamu alaikum. Also, in another version of that same hadith, when they were doing their hands up and down, Assalamu alaikum, Assalamu alaikum, when they were doing that, yeah, the Prophet ﷺ said in a version, إِنَّمَا كَانَ يَكْفِي أَحَدُكُمْ أَنْ يَضَعْ يَدَهُ عَلَى فَخِذِهِ وَيُسَلِّمْ عَلَى أَخِيهِ مَنْ عَلَى يَمِينِهِ وَمَنْ عَلَى شِمَالِهِ. This also gives some specific focus to what you asked as well. It's enough for you, it's enough. Listen to this word. It's enough for you for a man to put his hands on his thighs and give salam to his brother on his right and give salam to his brother on his left. So the Hanabila said, look, you can see that he mentioned right and left. The second point they mentioned is that look at the wording, yakfi, it is sufficient, right? Sufficient, if you go less than sufficient, what does that mean? Insufficient, right? So if he had said it's good that he gives salam upon his right and then to his left, then underneath good is sufficient. Yeah, you could go one less. But if you're already at sufficient, how can you go one down? You only go down to insufficient, right? So if the right and left is sufficiency, then it's not acceptable to say that less than that is gonna fly with it. And the third point is that the Prophet ﷺ, we see him giving Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah always. When he was at home, when he was in journey, when he's in battle, when he's traveling, when he's with the nomads, when he's with the knowledgeable people, when he's with the ignorant people, and he said, "Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli." Pray like you see me pray. And so this therefore indicates that it's definitely something that was done. Is that clear? Sheikh Uthaymeen says it's also got to be said though that some of the scholars said that this is sufficient in the nafil prayer. It's okay to do this in nafil prayers, but not in the fard prayers, because the Prophet ﷺ definitely has done this. Because it has been narrated on the Prophet ﷺ أنه سلم في الوتر تسليمة واحدة تلقاء وجهه. This hadith is narrated by Imam al-Tirmidhi, okay, hadith which is 296, the chapter of what we have concerning the taslim in the prayer, narrated by Ibn Majah as well. Hadith number 919, narrated by Ibn Khuzaymah as well, who considered this hadith to be authentic, narrated by Imam Hakim as well, who also considered this hadith to be authentic, and so on and so forth. And Shaykh al-Albani also considered one of these versions to be authentic. What's the translation? The Prophet ﷺ prayed the Salatul Witr, and he exited from it by giving one single taslima. Taslimatun wahida. So, that's now established. The now question is that do you keep it to nafil prayers? And of course, this is the position of the majority, as we said before. Witr, obviously the Paks consider it to be wajib, but it's a nafil prayer. It comes under the sunnah category, right? Do we now say that this happened in the sunnah and is to remain in the sunnah? Or do we say no, whatever is narrated in the sunnah, it can then be applied in the fard? And we already covered that in detail last year, that if there's no evidence to suggest the alternative, then what applies and happens in the sunnah prayer is to be applied and to be ruled upon in the obligatory prayer as well. Okay? And some of them said that in the nafil qad yukhaffaf fihi ma la yukhaffaf fil fard. Some said that no. This is like sitting down in the prayer. It's not allowed to sit down in the obligatory prayer, but the Prophet ﷺ used to regularly pray his nafil prayer on a camel. You can sit down. So this is takhfif. This is to make it easier. Is that clear? Yeah. So therefore, you have now these opinions. The Shaykh summarizes it by saying the following, and this is what I wanted to end on. He says, if you look at these three statements, al-ihtiyat fihi an yusallima taslimatayn. He goes, if you look at these opinions and their interpretations, the safest position and the most encompassing position, the most complete position, is to do 2 salams. To say Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. Because if you do that, there's not a single scholar in history that will say that your prayer has become invalid. You've covered yourself from every angle, basically, is what he's saying. Now, and if you do it once, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, there are major scholars that have said you have invalidated your prayer. Major scholars. Maybe not the ones we follow, maybe the ones we don't agree with, but major scholars that consider your prayer to be invalidated. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, amra bil ihtiyat, he commanded people to be cautious when the evidence is not clear. And he said, al-halalu bayyin wal-haramu bayyin. That the halal is clear and the haram is clear, and in between them are umur mushtabihat, yani are some doubtful matters. And whoever stays away from the doubtful matters, istabra'a lidinihi wa irdi, he protects his religion and his honor. No one can cuss a person who is practicing religion in a black kind of way, bit here, bit there. You come with as much as possible, you cover all the options, then you're going to protect your honor, protect your deen. And whoever sticks to the doubtful matters, so he says, I'm just going to just do one, I know there's some doubt about it, waqa'a fil haram, they will end up in the haram. That is what will happen. If you keep going in doubtful matters and you don't practice your religion in a clear way, trying to cover as much as possible. The Prophet ﷺ also said, دَعْ مَا يُرِيبُكَ لَا مَا لَا يُرِيبُكَ, leave that which causes you doubt for that which doesn't cause you any doubt. So if there's difference of opinion amongst the scholars in this issue, then just stick to giving taslim. وَأَنْتَ إِذَا أَتَيْتَ بِالتَّسْلِيمِ الثَّانِي فَقَدْ أَتَيْتَ بِذِكْرِ تَتَقَرُّ بِهِ إِلَى اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. He goes, also don't forget that this is dhikr. It's not like you're saving 5 minutes. You are increasing your dhikr, you're increasing your ibadah. Every word that you say is getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he then says, على أن الذين قالوا بوجوب تسليمة في الفرض والنفل أجابوا عن فعل الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم بأنه قضية. So he said, he also said that, I also want to say, having said that those people who said that he did it once, some of them claimed that he forgot. They said that in the nafil prayer, regardless, when he did it once, he forgot. As an explanation to explain away this hadith. The Shaykh says we don't need to explain this hadith. It's actually far more of a leap of your imagination to say that the Prophet ﷺ forgot. That kind of action, to do it once, is not the forgetful action. It's not like something you forget. Right? It's done intentionally. And the asl, and that's what Shaykh makes the point. He goes that the asl is that the Prophet ﷺ does things for tashri', not out of forgetfulness. You've got to prove forgetfulness. Not that the asl is forgetfulness. And so, what Shaykh is basically saying, in conclusion, that it is correct to consider that it is sufficient to only give one in the sunnah prayer and obligatory prayer. But we should practice 2. It's the position of the vast majority of scholars. We should stick to the position of the majority of scholars and not take risks in our religion. Why do I want to emphasize this? It's just munasib that he has gone hard, after a long while. He does this regularly, every so often. He went hard today on this, And I was with Shaykh earlier on today. 2 things that I will mention with respect to this. One is not so related, but the other one is related. Today, when we got to the airport, it was time for salah, and he had wudu, I had wudu, and the other people in our group didn't have wudu. And he's got to check in, isn't it? He's got to go through security. And we're in the prayer room. By the way, they've completely messed up Terminal 2. I completely missed it, and I went out onto the thing. I was so embarrassed. I went out to M56. Sheikh was like, you know what you're doing. I'm like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. Qassam bestie, Qassam full bestie. Yeah, from this side, yeah, or from any side. When you're going from this side, you don't see the sign for Terminal 2. Or do you have to turn left at the traffic lights?
No, before
the traffic lights.
Before the traffic. Is that what it is? Some pakwas that is, man. They're changing it all the time. Wallah, I got lost. I just see Terminal 1, and I should have gone Terminal 1, then I think I could have found Terminal 2. Is that what you can do?
There's a hedge in front of the sign. So there is a sign of the hedge.
Oh, shut up! Oh, yeah, Qassam ended up on the way to Wales, and I thought, what am I going to do here? Chester, blah, 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 pulled a move, this, that, whatever. Did the old haram stuff, and then come back. Anyway, and then have you seen where you got to park in Terminal 2?
40 minutes away.
40 flipping minutes away! And you got to walk. If it was raining, Qassam, you'd be dead. No.
That's the thing.
Huh?
You didn't look after the shape. You should have backed in advance.
And then I see booking a meet and greet or book in advance. Yeah, I ruined everything. Anyway, So the thing is that we're miles away anyway, so we've come in and time's already going on and time for salah. We're in the musalla, the room's quite big by the way, I tell you that. The prayer room in Terminal 2.
Downstairs.
Yeah. It's quite a big room, right? So that was good. So we're there in the thing, and I know the Sheikh's in a rush. So I said to him, okay, khalas, you pray. He's musafir, obviously. I said, you pray your dhuhr, and we'll join you in asr. By the time those guys come back from wudu, okay, I'll sit down and wait. You pray your 2 rak'ah of dhuhr. Then he's going to pray asr. Your intention is for asr. Our intention will be for dhuhr. The other guys will come back, and that will save you time without having to, wait around and whatever, whatnot. Okay? Because once we finish our dhuhr, and then he's going to have to pray asr, and it's going to delay more. Shaykh says, no, I'll wait. Yani, and he said kalima which I love. خروج من الخلاف. My favorite statement in fiqh, like for the last 15 years. This is my life motto. So that we escape from the difference of opinion. خروج عن الخلاف. This is a phrase that should be your life motto in practicing your religion. Right? We will do this to avoid falling into the doubt of differences of opinion. Because the Hanafis don't accept this at all. And actually, if you think about it, and we covered this in detail, if you remember, 2 years ago or last year, that the issue of having differing niyyah is it's not a clear-cut case. I do believe in its validity. After you assess it all, I'm comfortable. But it's not clear-cut, absolutely not. And it's more than just the Hanafis. Don't think it's just the Hanafis alone. Many of the Salaf did not accept this opinion, that a person can have the opinion that the intention, I am praying dhuhr, behind you praying asr. Have no doubt about its validity, by the way, if you do end up. But there's a different level of Islam where you avoid the difference of opinion. So he sat and he took the hit that I'll be late, but I'll be safer in the position as well. So he waited, we prayed dhuhr together, and then while we carried on, then he prayed asr. A small example of the application of what Shaykh has just mentioned, the 2 hadith here. Okay, folks? Anyway, there's so much more I could, but Abu Dharr is literally, I think he's going to faint. Like literally. SubhanAllah, Abu Dharr is so expressive when he's gone. He can't even, some people that can blag it. Yeah, like his head wobbles and then he goes. Person, if you get caught, you open your eyes, and you go. He goes like as if he's like doing some modeling. Right. Let's do some questions here and then online as well. Right, 1 second, hold on. Yeah, open this up, Bismillah. Okay, let me just make sure I take my haqq here. Don't look at the other box. Don't be looking, it's not even good. Oh. I'm giving you first choice now, yeah? Okay? Yeah? Ready, yeah? I know. You got to live up to pressure.
Slide. Yeah,
Right. Yeah, those dua in sajda is allowed. Those dua that we mentioned before. Whoa! Sarah coming with the moves. First of all, is that our Sarah? Is that Sarah thingy? Is that Sarah thingy? Who's that Sarah? Okay, anyway. I don't like first names, man. Let's have full names. I didn't even know what that word, how to pronounce it. I don't know what it means.
Sounds like what it is.
What's that one? That one? Oh, shut up, like you know what that means. Shut up. Drip.
Is it who I think it is?
Yeah, it is who you think it is. She just said drip, like as you think we're going to believe it. Drip. By the way, can you do a quick count? Because I need to work out my calculations. Yeah. I don't know if it's an example of onomatomia, whatever. But anyway, what did the thingy ask for? Wow, Widad came for next move. Sick one. Widad saying that it's referring to this part. That is the minority position. In between the sideburn and the ear. This whiteness part here. Okay, which would require a greater turn. But this was the interpretation of only a minority. Only a minority. How many people we got?
25.
Huh?
25.
No, it's not 25. I know your moves, man. You're going to try and make me give one out to
No,
everyone,
at
and
least
there's
25.
no way.
At least 25.
No, I want a proper count. Huh? No, then you all have to. Literally, I'm not even joking. I have to do what I said. There's not enough. There's not enough.
You don't need it, man.
Who?
You don't need it.
You guys, what? Are you guys dieting or something like that? No? You guys don't like chocolate and stuff? Yes? No? No. No. All right. What was our principle again? Who do we give it to?
The wrong people that you gave it to last time.
Yeah, that's Suleiman always gets one, yeah. Oh, that's the problem in Bangladesh right there, bro. Horrible, horrible attempt at a catch. I don't care. Share it. This is sharing. I don't care, folks, yeah? All right? Got to be shared. Yallah. Allahu Akbar. Yalla, what are you reading your phone for? There you go, Lala. Oh, not bad. Right. Right. Girls, right. We'll have Amelia. Oh, what a catch! Bangladesh in the house. All right. Farah. That's what cool. You guys, yani, all yani, the fat people's club, yani, you can share. Take a stick and pass it on to the person next to you. A stick, Ibrahim. Stick. Jiva. All right. That's enough. All right. Okay. This is not looking good. All right. Come on, listen. The people are here waiting, man. Where's all the kids? The kids. There we go. Look, Zakaria. There we go. Oh, sugar knockout.
Stop aiming at them.
Right. Anybody else? Who's missing out on chocolate? Tough. Hasib deserves it. Abdul Basit, you got some there? Did you get some? You cheeky paggy. There you go, Hasib. Go on. Yalla, Zohaib, go on. You get one. Oh no, Zohaib, no, you don't get one. That's not any. You probably have a heart attack eating that. There's no kale in that or seaweed. Yeah. Which kids have not got any?
Yeah, visitors, yeah.
Sarah, look up please before it hits the kids. Done? Yes? Fatima, you want some? Yep. There you go. Alright, done. Sorry. Online. Okay. If it were a mistake, you would have to clarify. Yeah, Mesa, but you know, Mesa says that how can the argument be that he forgot? Oh, you don't want chocolate? Okay. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, Mesa. She's right. We've lost all discipline, you lot, man. Ruin all discipline. Right. I don't know what mukbang. What is that? Is that Bengali word? Mukbang. We apologize, Sumera. Okay. Come on. What's mukbang? Is that a serious question or are they taking the mickey? Taking the mic, yeah? Okay, come down then. I don't know what mukbang is. Why is people all trying to give it a big one today with onomatopoeia and mukbang or what the fish is happening over the last 1 week? What were they doing in Salah before which necessitated him to mention it? That's a very, very good question. Right? And so all this time they were raising their hands?
I mean, from the start.
Yeah. It's a brilliant question.
You mean like when did they start this?
Yeah, when did they start raising their hands? You see the question Sumaira came with? What a sick question. She said, if the Prophet ﷺ criticized them for raising their hands, what were they doing before that? The indication would be that that's how they started. So the only indication is that was the initiation of the taslima. That's the only answer. What other answer can you give? Can anyone give an alternative answer? Yani, Sumaira's question, you get what she's saying. Yeah, she's saying that if the Prophet ﷺ is saying, why are you raising your hands? Just say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. That's what the hadith says. Sumaira is saying, what was happening before that then? What was happening before they were raising their hands? And I'm saying that the only possible answer is that was the original
Because Could this
their original understanding of what the Prophet ﷺ said when he said, give salam to one another. It must have been very, very early in the establishment of the prayer.
responding to salam?
Yeah.
Somebody else's salam.
Yep.
in your prayer, giving a signal was allowed,
Yep.
So could it not be in response to that? Giving a signal was allowed instead of saying responding to a salam.
So you're trying to explain the concept of what they were doing in the first place. It wasn't to do with taslim at all. It was there indicating the salam whilst they're in the prayer. It's possible. That is possible. It doesn't actually affect what we're studying, because all the hadith make it clear that you've got to keep your hands on your... Oh, actually, no, it doesn't, because the hadith states clearly that put your hand on your thigh and turn to your brother to your right and to your left. It's not referring to the guy who comes in. Yeah. Anyone? Yeah? Everybody happy with what I just said? Yeah?
Sheikh, do you know, you think the safest position is to say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah to the right and left?
Yes.
Why is it different in Janazah Salah? You only say it to one side, don't you? Just to the right?
No, the same scholars are of the same opinion. Meaning that those that say that there needs to be two, they say there's two. Those that say there's one, they say one is sufficient. So the Hanafis, for example, they insist on two. But when I say insist, like none of the scholars, alright, consider it to be from, I don't say none, but the majority do not see it as an absolute obligation for the second, because the hadith is there clearly that indicates one was enough. You get what I'm trying to say? Now with the janazah, there seems to be a slight, I just want to make it clear that there are scholars out there that don't even consider the janazah to be a prayer. You see, it's very difficult to make a qiyas, an analogy. There are some scholars that say that when you look at the janazah prayer, you don't apply the rulings of the prayer to it. The saf is not the same, the structure is not the same, the arkan not the same, wajibat not the same, no ruku, no sajda, no, you know what I'm saying? So you can't base that on that. Sorry, yeah, Hamza.
So when you're saying that the Prophet said that you give salam and you return salam and each salam is one, is that not an evidence to say that you have to do two and not one? Because if you just do one, then you're giving it but you're not returning it.
It's an evidence for that. It's an evidence that two were done as a result, or that he wanted to. It's not an evidence whether the second is obligatory or not. Yeah, it's an indication it's obligatory, not a clear proof. Right. Wouldn't you like to know, Maryam? Wouldn't you like to know? Let me tell you, Sumaira. Okay, she went there, isn't it? She went there, yeah. I have never seen a scholar eat as much chocolate as Sheikh Abdul Rashid Ali Sufi, Hafidhahullah Ta'ala. Yani he blew my mind. I said, Sheikh, I've never met anyone who eats as much chocolate as I do. And we spoke about it in the interview. So Sumaira, you want to just take that and put it in your pocket, bro. And yes, there was chocolates that were thrown yesterday and the day before as well. So don't be hating on the chocolate. Alright? Just sit right down. Yep. You just eat on camera and chill and sick. I like that. What's it called? Makbang.
You get paid for it.
And get paid for it as well. Allahu Akbar. That's the job. You sit on the camera. Makbang.
Bengali.
It's a Bengali. I don't know. It must be a Bengali name. Yeah. Yeah. You just eat on camera. And it's not Bengali?
It's not.
Are you sure?
No, I never.
It does sound kind of...
It does. 100% sounds Bengali. Of course it does.
Bengali word nice.
It is. I'm telling you because like Shazad has no idea about Urdu, you guys don't know about Bengali at all. 100%. It's a full Bengali word.
What does it mean?
Listen, the most important question we've had today is that one. Is Orange 12 that good?
No.
It's not. No, it's great. You'd get it, but is it Terry's? Nah. Huh? No, it's not. Cadbury's your pack. Say Qassam. Say Qassam. Is that the honest truth? He said that Terry's have got the license to make it. Orange 12. Are you sure? Are you sure? Obviously, yeah. If no one was going to know, it'd be okay. It'd be the sweet shop owner that would know. Okay, yeah. Go on. Who hasn't got a chocolate? Who didn't get a chocolate?
It does have a Chinese taste to it.
Huh?
It does have a Chinese taste to it.
There is a Terry's taste to it, isn't there? When Shazad gets some time, inshallah in the next 1-2 weeks. Huh? Oh yeah! Subtitles. That's what happens. You get greedy. Greedy little baggy. Yeah. Sorry, these guys are thingy. Oh, sugar brownies. We got brownies, folks. Ibrahim, I got a message. Go to the fridge. You gotta go, Islam, go to the fridge. Ibrahim came by. I got a message that they brought the brownies. Subhanallah. The word is Korean, by the way. So Sumira, I look into that if you remind me. Yes, that's why the look what I mean. That Shazad had to leave because he's gone to thingy. He had to leave because he's gone to he had to go to work. Yeah, so that's why the class has gone off the rails. Correct. Yep. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Yeah, he's lecturing tomorrow night. Mission. Birmingham. Yeah. All right, guys. The fish. Get out of here. That's from Sierra. Where's Ibrahim? Oh yeah, Ibrahim. Ibrahim, Allah. Alright guys, Jazakumullah khair. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka Allahumma wa atubu ilayk. Before anyone goes, where are the brownies? Ibrahim, we are smashing those brownies. Jazakumullah khair. Ibrahim, you smashed it. We got 2 trays. You gotta give it to your sisters, yalla. Alright guys, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yalla, close.